What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to be talking about the Florida Gators and how they are in a bit of a troubling steep and it's going downhill fast. Before we get into this video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe. Share the video if you can. Grow. I'm putting out a lot more content on all platforms, so really excited about the end of this college football year and moving forward to the offseason going into next year. Florida is in trouble, and people have talked about this on social media lately. I've seen a bunch of outlets talking about it, how Florida is in a really tough spot. Billy Napier, the head coach at Florida, this was his second year. Florida has went through 3 seasons with below a 500 win percentage. And I can't remember, I think they may have made 1 bowl game in that 3-year stretch, but I know in 2 of them, I don't think they did. That is really crucial because Florida, I consider them, the blue blood conversation can be up and down, but Florida to me is a blue blood school. And they've had a top quarterback in the draft, one of the biggest freaks in coming out of the recent draft, in my opinion, Anthony Richardson. 6'5" to do what he can do. He was doing pretty well in the NFL this year, his rookie year, until, he got hurt and stuff. But he had a talented quarterback like that. He didn't look particularly good in college at Florida, and I think that was a system problem. They didn't have the playmakers around him. It was really tough for him, but you could see the talent. They couldn't win with Anthony Richardson there. They were below 500 that year. The topics that I have, Billy Napier, if he goes into his 3rd year and doesn't have a good winning percentage, I am very concerned that his days may be numbered as the head coach at Florida in his 3rd season. I hate to do the comparisons and all this different stuff, but there's other coaches, they may have had bad year ones, and Billy Napier came in the cycle where Brent Venables and all these other coaches got hired. When you compare some of those coaches to him, it is not looking good going into that 3rd year. SEC's a tough job. It's a tough job to coach in, a tough conference to coach in. But man, Florida has the talent to be one of the best teams in the country. They just haven't utilized it. The quarterback situation is a thing that I have marked down on my notes of talking about Florida, is because they have Graham Mertz, who going into this past season, I was a little questionable about Graham Mertz, but he was a little bit better than I thought. You gotta give him credit for that. You do have one of the most talented quarterbacks coming into the class, DJ Lagway, in the 2024 cycle. But from the information I've been hearing, he looks like he may be heading to College Station at Texas A&M, and that would be a devastating blow to Billy Napier, because I think he was going to get a ton of time. And I can't remember, I think Graham Mertz did announce he's coming back for another year, but they may have moved along with DJ Lagway going into this next year because of how talented he is. In the 2024 cycle, a safety, Xavier Folsamy, I may be butchering that name, but he is a safety, one of the top safeties in this class. He's committed to Florida. Looks like he's going to go to Texas. So this recruiting class for Florida in 2024 looks really good right now, but I don't think it's going to stick for signing day next week. And they lost their starting running back, Trevor Etienne, obviously the brother of Travis Etienne, and that's just devastating because, Trevor is a really good running back at Florida. Coming in, when he was in high school, I was a big fan of him, not just because of the last name, because I thought he could be one of the best running backs in college football. And then they had the Princely kid from Florida who was one of the best edge pass rushers. He just committed to Ole Miss today. That's huge because that was one of the best pass rushers. He goes into the portal. He was one of the best prospects that we've seen in the portal this year off the edge. He commits to Ole Miss. Mark him off as a guy that you just lose on this Florida team. Kamari Wilson also enters the transfer portal. He was one of the best recruits out of the 2020, either 3 or 22 cycle. He was really good. And then Chris McClellan as well, the defensive lineman. And, he is going to be really sought after because he's really talented. That talent that I mentioned, high school recruiting, transfer portal, look how much they are losing these big players, that talent. You're devastated if you're a Florida fan, Billy Napier fan. And I think college football is better when Florida is really good, and we haven't seen a really good Florida team. I like that Dan Mullen team with Trask and all of them, and Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney. I like that team, but that's really the best team you got in a while. And then where this conversation kind of sparked up a little bit more, if I'm going to be honest, is the SEC schedule. That is a brutal stretch. I'll read you off some of their key games in the SEC, the opponents that they play. Play Miami in a non-conference game. I believe that's the first game of the year. Then they play Texas A&M. Texas A&M going to be with a new coach. And then they play Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. You guys just hear what I said. Listen to this stretch. Tennessee, Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, Florida State. Guys, in that, how many games is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games. Where do they get a win? They maybe can upset one of these teams, maybe Ole Miss, but Ole Miss, I'm going to make a video on them soon, so I won't spoil it, but I got some nice things to say about them. Kentucky, probably, maybe. Tennessee could. But, you win those two games. Let's say they beat Tennessee, Kentucky. They beat, let's just say they beat those two. Then they have Georgia, 1 loss. Texas, 1 loss. LSU, 1 loss. That's already 3 losses. 4 losses, Ole Miss. 5 losses, Florida State. And you still have to, assume that they beat Miami, Texas A&M, Mississippi State. Florida maybe got handled the worst hand of the SEC schedule possible. The way that this is going, man, I don't think Billy Napier makes it past year 3. And maybe Billy Napier does a hell of a coaching job, turns it around. Because I think Billy Napier is a hell of a recruiter, a good coach. But he just hasn't got the wheels turning there. And we have to remember this Florida program, these people want this program turned around very fast. But I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, that'll do it for me. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next video. Peace.